Well, here I'm sitting in the new Audi Q4 e-tron concept, a concept car that we're showing for the very first time here in Geneva at the Auto Salon. And this car will go into production in less than 2 years. And so we want to give you an outlook to the future of e-mobility also for the compact SUV segment. This car is a bit smaller than the Audi e-tron, our first electric car coming this year, just in these days into the market. So this car really is an important pillar for Audi's way to electromobility for the future. We will introduce a lot of new technology in every aspect, not only in terms of the drivetrain, but also with a lot of new options, connectivity, infotainment and so on. This car, for example, will offer you a head-up display that is combined with augmented reality, and that means a really new level of information output in combination of navigation system and all other levels of output that you want to have on your screen to make driving even more safe, even more comfortable. I mean, a lot of people think nowadays about emissions and emission-free driving, about sustainability, and that's becoming more and more important, of course, not only because of the law, but also because people think about it and they enjoy being in cars that are really environmental friendly. The second thing, of course, is once you have driven an electric car and have really felt the torque building up from the very first rev, the acceleration, and that combined with the complete absence of any noise, loudless acceleration, that's an effect that you really love. And of course, also the low consumption of energy is also something that really excites people to see how they can get the consumption even lower.
So what is interesting is that since day one, Citroen has been an original brand with a very strong will to make car for all. Innovation is part of the DNA. So let's be loyal to the origin of Citroen. That's why we decided for the centenary to create 2 concept cars that will basically show the vision of Citroen in terms of mobility. And the 2 concept cars are opposite and complementary. I give you an example. The United Nations have published a survey saying that in 2050, 68% of the world population will live in cities. So we need to provide them a solution to move in the city. AMI One concept is the solution. This is a compact car, 2.50 m, full electric, 50 kilometers autonomy, 45 kilometers speed, no driving license. You can drive that car or that object, depends how you see it, aged 16, or in France and Italy, 14. And the car has been imagined in a very design-to-cost way. I give you a few examples. The door on the left is exactly the same on the right. They open differently. The 4 wheels cover are the same. The mirrors are the same. The seats are the same. The front is the same as the back. So it is so cleverly built. Imagine that you can imagine that it's going to be for all. In the city center, you don't need 4 doors. You don't need 4 seats. You don't need 3 meters, 0.2. You need to move from A to B in less than 5 kilometers without being the owner of the car. This is the famous car sharing. And except that there was no offer. So we were using cars to do car sharing that are normal cars because there was no solution. But we are working hard to make this type of object available because the request from people inside the city is to get this as fast as possible. At the next Paris Motor Show, if we go, we never know, we will unveil a compact car which will be petrol, diesel, full electric. So we are now in the new generation. It's already now, it's starting now. That's why we waited this year to kick off all these novelties.
e.Go itself, it's 3.5 years old. It's a company founded after we had sold a predecessor company doing electric vehicles for Deutsche Post DHL Group. It's the vehicles this company uses in Germany for delivering parcels and letters. And now we thought, well, we had learned a lot of things and wanted to do some things better. And as DHL is a company doing logistics, we thought we do the passenger side of the business. And that's what we are doing now. Autonomous features will change the way we know mobility as of today. So what will happen as we see it is first that cars will have to learn to drive on the roads in a homologated way, and then in the end, after they have learned, they are taught by the sensors, and software has been taught to do so. There will be the opportunity to get off the steering wheel and the driver, and after that you will have automated driving, level 4. Autonomous driving is a little bit more in the future, because then the car has to do everything by itself without any kind of backing of a human being. So that's something we don't foresee in the next or in the near future. That's something for the longer future. What we always believed, we had a concept to say we need mass market adoptable electromobility, meaning it must be fun, it must be practical. It's a 4-seater where you can put a cradle of beer, important for Germans, in the trunk, and of course it must be affordable. With all respect, there are great producers of fantastic electric vehicles starting at 100,000 euros and above. It's technically fantastic, but that's nothing for the mass market. And so we thought this is the way to go, and we believe in smaller batteries. It's not necessary to have a big battery, because in order to get emissions out of the city, and emissions I'm talking not only about CO2, also talking NOx and noise, you need only small batteries, because in city environments, in urban traffic, you don't drive more than 20, 30, 40 kilometers a day. Or there are also even business applications like care services that do the same as we've experienced with Deutsche Post DHL Group. They only go for 40 kilometers a day in average. So that's where we aim at. It's a niche market. It's a market where we don't do mass market production, same as the big OEMs. But it's something that we believe it's has a large potential, and it's not yet there. And as it's not yet there, we hope we can make a difference and really can make it happen so that electromobility gains traction already now.
We work on try to recover the DNA of the original cars of the brand, and for this reason we recovered the idea to base our new design of the future of the brand based it on the Xenia Dugonet of 1988, because it's a very futuristic design, and it connects the past and the future of the brand.
From an engineering, it has been like a dream, because we were starting from a white paper, and then you can put all that you have learned in that years inside the industry and something completely new, and then that answers your desires. And in that case, we would like to have a really superb car, in the engineering point of view, having over 1,000 horsepower, but at the same time, we just limited, for example, the top speed to 250, just to say, okay, we have a lot of power, but it's not our goal. We don't want to compete in that process. We want to change the way. We want to, when you saw an old Hispano Suiza, I think the same, just nice material inside. Even all the panels are made in carbon fiber. You cannot see it just here in the doors. You can see all the other, just machine aluminum, wooden panels, leather, Alcantara, that type of things. At the same time, it's a carbon fiber monocoque. Everything is carbon fiber in the structure. Rear frame, it's carbon fiber. All the structures, crash structures in the front are carbon fiber, and even all the body panels.
Now the future, we think and we trust on the future, on the electric mobility. And for this reason, we don't have any doubt when we plan to make this new car to bid for the electric solutions. We need to check how is the success of this car here in Geneva, and after Geneva we need to meet internally in order to discuss the continuity of the project and the brand. Probably we have the goal to make new projects and to recover all the tradition of the brand, launching new models, new cars.
If you go to the other stands, everybody's talking about electrification, and I think for us, we believe it's a continued investment in our self-charging hybrid powertrains, and as the electric story continues to grow in Europe, we'll be there. But the reality is, today in Europe, 5% of the market is pure EV or plug-in EV, and everybody's talking about EV and plug-in EV, and we believe that's the direction that the market's going. But today, EV has some challenges, right? Where do I plug it in? How long I have to plug it in? And then also the range of EV. And we believe the best solution to overcome those today is taking an internal combustion engine, matching it with our hybrid technology, charging the battery through the engine or through the braking, and basically removing those compromised solutions. A lot of the brands that are talking about electrification, and again, we're partnering with other brands to look at this solution, but we have to overcome the obstacles. But today, as you walk the show, the brands that are talking most about electrification, it's either their only solution from a powertrain standpoint, or they have a lot of diesel powertrains that they're also trying to offset with this solution. We have a solution today. Every model on the stand has an electric motor in it. So we think we have a solution today, and we'll continue to work towards those dedicated EV solutions when the market's ready, but we could build those today. We've been innovators since we launched our brand 30 years ago. The first car-based SUV, the RX, the first hybrid in the market. So we believe we need to help push and innovate that because that's what consumers want and need today. Certainly we need to work with governments on the infrastructure and other brands on the powertrains to get there, and obviously the battery capacity issue, which is also one of the blocking factors. But for me, there's no question that we need to drive this because this is what consumers demand and expect of an innovative brand like Lexus. So we want to work with them to find a solution.
You see that solar panel on the roof, so it generates the electricity, CO2-free generate electricity, and storing into that car battery. And in the nighttime, this car will discharge back or provide back to the home. So this is a cycle. However, if we connect that to this kind of we call that V2H technology. So this house will be connected through internet IoT technology. Then we can making this household as a virtual power plant and providing back to the grid.
This concept car's basic powertrain is the same as the current Outlander, but at this time we modified the many parts, almost every part, so to expedite the EV driving. So the customers told us that they want to drive the car by EV, not engine. So they want to be more quiet, so that they will increase the power of the battery, the capacity of the battery, and also increase the motor power. But size of the device component is reduced. In terms of the current technology, we think the PHEV is still the best solution for this type of car.
How we did the solution, well, it's very difficult because you have a high center of gravity and a car has a very low center of gravity. So if you let this go around the corner, it will fall over. So the solution to that was another Dutch invention called Carver, the Carver car. And it tilts in the corners. So you change the center of gravity to the inside of the turn. And that makes it very stable on the road. So that was that solution. The other problem is you have a lot of surface area for an airplane. Or you have wings, or you have rotor blades, etc. What do you do with that? Because it has to be very compact to be on the road. And as you see, this is 4 meters by 2 meters, exactly what it can be for a 3-wheeled car. So they found this solution, use a gyrocopter. Because everybody else who tries uses wings and tries to fold the wings, which is too much of a surface to do it responsibly. And then their wings are too short when you use them and don't have enough surface area, so your stall speed will be very high. A gyrocopter doesn't have a stall speed. You can go down with 0 speed, going down, and still all your controls work. With an airplane, that's impossible. You call it the stall, then you crash. With this, it doesn't matter. You can land like this even. It's like a parachute. Everybody asks the question, yeah, what about flying? Because it's so busy in the air. Well, go outside now and look up. You're at an airport. You won't even see an aircraft probably, maybe one that's landing. I flew a gyrocopter that we use for training in Holland. I flew it from Milan, from the factory, to Amsterdam. And I thought, because I had been in the Caribbean for 20 years with my own helicopter company, so I thought, I haven't been here in Europe for 20 years. Let's see how many airplanes I count from Milan to Amsterdam. I saw 2 airplanes in 9 hours flying. It's not busy in the air. And then what everybody forgets, it's only very regulated above a certain height. And that is normally about 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 feet, depending on country and where you are in the country. So below that, it is free. Nothing is regulated. We're like the new pretty girl on the block, right? I mean, all the big guys are looking at us like, oh, this is going to make money. So they're talking to us. And I cannot mention the names here probably, but big companies, even companies here on the show, they are very interested because it's going to make money. Now they know. So they're all flirting with us. And so we'll be sold, and that means probably those companies that I'm mentioning can build thousands a year. So we don't have any knowledge really about production. We can do it in a small scale, but big production, we need a big company, you know, like a big car company or a big aircraft company. First, you have to have a lot of money. I cannot afford this. So there's not going to be that many. For us, it's enough to make a profit, but it's still going to be people with millionaires and multimillionaires who can, I mean, if you're a millionaire at 1 million, forget it. You know, you have to have multi-millions to be able to afford it and to drive it, maintenance, of course, etc. So it's those people that will fly it and drive it. That will never be thousands and thousands, not in one country, I mean, maybe all over the world, sure.
The new signature for the Peugeot brand is not so new because when you say it, it sounds the same. But clearly it was important for us to show the electrification of the brand. And so now we have the E that can be seen on the E208 that is part of the signature, and it's going to be a signature across all countries, even in countries where we do not electrify the brand or for now do not sell electrified products, and so very important for us. Clearly the 208 is very important for us. Today is the world premiere of the car, and the E208 is one version of the 208, and it was very important for us to have one message for the customers, which is the power of choice. So the 208, which is clearly irresistible in terms of design, has next-gen technology, and also this possibility to choose the powertrain depending on your usage. For the brand, it was important for the customers first to choose the vehicle because they liked it, and not to have to choose a vehicle because it had the right technology for them. And so we think that first the customer will come to the 208 because he likes the 208, and then he will find the perfect powertrain for him. And so that was really important for us, and it's also linked to a strategic industrial strategy we made, having a platform that enabled us to produce on the same production line either petrol, diesel or electric cars. The elegant concept for us clearly is the way of showing the way we are seeing the future of the automotive, and for the Peugeot brand, what it's going to be electrified and also autonomous. What we think is that we are not implementing technology for technology, but because it's really for the pleasure and for the pleasure you can have on board and behind the steering wheel. And so the e-Legend is showing that all of that first, it can be electrified, it can be autonomous without being a box with no design. It can still be very desirable, it can still be a heritage from the past, and this is clearly what is showing the e-Legend. In autonomous driving, yes, we're working on that. We have many prototypes driving on the road, and so we'll see depending on the demand and how it's going to be put in place and regulations about that.
This whole thing started with a product vision and a positioning of a kind of sports car that me and my co-founder, in a very naive way, would like to see in the car world. We didn't see it in that interpretation. You can see it's quite classic. But it's a modern interpretation of that, which uses technology in a very driver-focused way with a new drivetrain technology. Now, the path from that to a business model that works was a very long one. So we did a lot of calculating and a lot of partnership discussions to find a way that we believe in we can make money through the business model as well, not just a nice car. The name just gives us instantly more attention. It's a good fit because the product vision that we're trying to do fits very well with a name that has several generations of heritage in sports cars. Therefore, it's been very tempting to use the name. It took us a long time to face the responsibility of putting it on there because even though the name gives us a lot of attention, it also means we have to perform exceptionally well in order to do justice to that name. We think we can do it. We have the specs. I think we have the design. I think we do have, as you said, something in the technology side that is revolutionary enough to also associate it with that name. The one thing I can say is true. We're working with a great battery partner out of China. It took us many months ourselves to be confident in the technology. We've done our own testing, we've done third-party testing. So what we're claiming today, I can say with full confidence, is true. I can't go into exactly how it works and why it works this way, but it charges fast. The thermal implications are minimal, meaning we can charge a very high rate and discharge, and it doesn't get hot, it doesn't overheat, which has implications on the lifetime of the battery, has implications on the amount of recuperation we can do, which means if we recuperate a lot of energy, we need less installed battery package for the same amount of range. So we have 500 kilometers range with less kilowatt hours than somebody else would have to do with a different cell type. And we can charge in less than 5 minutes to 80%, which means this is very close to changing a habit from refueling a car to recharging a car. It's not always the best technology that wins the game. We're not going to change the market with 10,000 cars. So all of this is reliant on us and the battery company engaging with the right partners, which we're extremely open to. It's a technology that we do believe is ready to market and should be available for as many partners as possible.
This is a very, very important emotional moment for Pininfarina, of course. Battista, that was the founder of Pininfarina in 1930, he always had a dream of making the car with his own brand. Okay, this is the moment in which this dream becomes true, because Anand Mahindra, that is another visionary man that comes from India, decided to buy the brand and use it for a company to make EV cars and actually make the dream of Battista come true. So that's why the car is called Battista, and that's why it's so beautiful to have all these dreams realized in one day. We decided to go directly in the correct way, so to go for the full electric car. This gives us the chance not only to be one of the first hypercars on the market, but with electricity, but even to explore performances level that are not comparable to anything that is on the road right now. So we are talking about 0 to 100 in 2 seconds, 0 to 300 in 12, a car with 1900 brake horsepower, like big numbers. Let's say this for us is the halo product. We wouldn't have done the hypercar like this if we wouldn't have had the possibility to do other cars afterwards. Of course, we are working on something. We will never do mass production cars, definitely. We will always do cars with a certain level of luxury and sustainability together. So this is the core of our brand put together, and I hope we will be able to show you soon other things. I myself, I'm a big petrol head. I always liked tires and exhausts, but you have to marry the new technologies. When the new technology is so much better in everything, in performance, you feel cleaner, you will be able to drive this car every day in town, wherever, while the other normal combustion engine car probably will have some problems in the future. So I think you will be able to enjoy much more these kind of things compared to the other ones, without guilt, without any kind of problems.
Really, the idea behind Polestar 2 was conceived when the whole brand Polestar was conceived. We launched Polestar 1 as a halo product for the brand to create real attention around the brand in October 2017. And at that point, we had a decision to make. Do we then go upwards from there and really drive mobility towards 200,000, 300,000 euro cars? Or do we actually bring electromobility to much more mainstream audiences? And that's really how you're going to convert people to the world of electrification. So we took the conscious decision that we were actually going to move towards a car like Polestar 2, as we see here, at 40 to 60,000 euros, which is in the mainstream ballpark where a lot of people are buying premium cars. Polestar 1 was a car we just really wanted to build. Clearly there was a very close connection to the car with the Volvo Concept Coupe of a few years ago, and there was so much desire to build that car. But that car is a long-distance GT coupe. It's a car that really serves a plug-in hybrid powertrain really, really well. So you can do your cross-continent driving. but it's also got the longest pure electric range of any hybrid in the world at 150 kilometers. So, we really saw that car as a car that you could drive as an electric car every day, but with the support of an internal combustion engine. But now, with the launch of Polestar 2, we really move into the real future of Polestar, which is as a fully electric car company. I think if you look around the halls of the Geneva Motor Show today, you see the tipping point. The industry has been talking about electrification for a number of years now with concepts and various cars that they've shown. But actually there's a real sense here in Geneva that this is the moment. And so our timing is perfect. What we see in terms of where competition is going to come from, it is probably much more from the mainstream internal combustion engine world. No, we've deliberately talked about Tesla Model 3, not as a competitor, but more as a reference point. No, that today, if you want a premium electric car, you've got a choice of one. And we think that actually the more brands that come into that marketplace drives more awareness for consumers that there is a real choice for them in this world of electric vehicles. So, going forwards, it's too early to see where pre-orders are coming from in terms of ownership, but it's very likely that we will see customers coming in from BMW 3 Series, Audi A4, Mercedes-Benz C-Class, and those other premium mid-size cars that today have an internal combustion engine, but customers start to realize that an electric powertrain is right for them.
Today we are really presenting our product offensive of e-mobility, and there we have everything from the Minimo, which is kind of an urban micro-mobility project. We have the Cupra Formentor, which is also a plug-in hybrid vehicle, which shows like more the high-performance model, and we have the Elborn, where we are really proud also to announce it today, because it's actually our first vehicle which will be put on the MEB platform of the group, which is basically the state-of-the-art technology you are going to have in electromobility.
I personally think it's only possible to sell a car when the car is sexy from the outside. And we made a really sexy car with this Elborn. And equipped with the advanced technology of an electric drivetrain with a big battery of 62 kilowatt hours, which is placed in the floor of the car, which can be recharged up to 47 minutes to 80%. This car is really good equipped, and it's possible to drive 420 kilometers with this drivetrain.
I think micro-mobility or urban mobility is a very important topic. We see more and more traffic restrictions in urban areas, so I think it's a task of the automotive brand or of an automotive group to come up with solutions in order to improve mobility in urban areas. That's why we have developed a vehicle which has a very reduced footprint, only 3.1 square meters compared to 7 point something of a normal vehicle, which actually makes it easier to park this vehicle. Especially we haven't so much thought about the final customer, but also about mobility sharing users or mobility sharing platforms. So car sharing companies actually which have very high operation costs. And we have done the perfect purpose-designed vehicle for mobility services with a battery swapping system.
This is the spearhead of the offensive of SEAT going in the direction of electromobility. As you see also here, we have some other cars. So really, we are kicking off our offensive by selling electrified cars up to an urban two-seater, to a plug-in hybrid car, which is really performant. And so we are very proud to go in this direction now.
We have a younger customer target group than the VW group in general. Our customers are 10 years younger, but also within our competitive environment, our customers are younger. We have analyzed that over 70% of our new car buyers are actually looking on connectivity functions. Therefore, for us, it was very important, and we were one of the first brands to introduce things like Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, because we actually have a very, very high usage rate of these ecosystems within our vehicles.
As far as electrification is concerned, it's a key fundamental strategy of Tata Motors, specifically right now for the Indian market, given that India accounts for 14 of 15 most polluted city in the world, and therefore the government of India has undertaken a very stiff target in form of Vision 2030, where it intends to electrify 40% of the private vehicles in the country. And I think we want to therefore partner with the government as far as that target and aspiration and intent is concerned. Tata Motors, therefore, by bringing Altroz EV in the next 2 years, we intend to create excitement in the EV space and take the lead as far as electrification in India is concerned. So when you talk about India, the electrification is at very nascent stage as compared to what you would see in Europe, for example, Norway or Netherlands, or for example, China. I mean, when you compare with these countries, we are at very early stages of demand evolution. This is primarily got activated because of some of the seeding demand from the government itself. And there is some traction that one is seeing in the fleet and commercial segment, where it is a natural case because of the low operating cost of the electric vehicles, and typically fleet cars run more number of kilometers in a day as compared to private segment. There are these natural barriers, as you rightly mentioned. Range is one of the topmost barrier, and that gets aggravated because of lack of charging infrastructure. And as I said, because the evolution is at early stages in India, this is definitely a concern. But typically, we have also, kind of analyzed and did a study that a private buyer would not run a car for more than 40 to 50 kilometers on an average in a day. So it's an anxiety. Range is just an anxiety, it's not a reality. Somebody who starts using electric vehicles would understand that charging overnight at home is good enough for him to serve his needs.
The ID Buggy is a fascinating concept for me because it's the combination of a famous, fascinating icon we have from the 60s, in combination with our new platform, our new zero-emission sustainable platform, the MEB. And here you combine a lot of emotion with no emission, and this brings you back in the feelings of summer beach and beaches, and so we love this concept. We started with let's say, classical body styles. We started with compact car like the first ID we've shown. Then we showed SUVs, crossover, we showed MPVs like the ID Buzz, and also modern interpretation of limousine. So this is what we need for the classical areas. And then we thought, okay, now we've proven that the MEB is scalable and can be used for everything what is in these normal categories. Then we thought, after this good reaction to the ID Buzz, which is also kind of an icon, that okay, people are looking for this emotional touch, and we thought, okay, we have another icon, which was quite successful with 250,000 cars sold in the 60s and 70s, 250,000. So this was the Buggy. We said, why not try to combine this? Is this possible nowadays? And the answer is yes, it is possible, and it's still fascinating. If you look into the future, the differentiation between different brands will no longer be so strong as we are used from classical cars with the ICE, because here you have an electrical engine, you have an architecture on there, you have a chassis, but where will be the differences later on? But in e-mobility, differences won't be, you won't find differences in this area too much. We expect a certain standard to bring the numbers of the parts sold up. So by this scale effect, you get the cost down, and this is what customers like.